Hello, Professor of Laughs here to discuss the legend, George Carlin, a man who many think still is the greatest comedian who ever lived. He is certainly on everyone's top 10, everyone who knows what they're talking about, that is. Born May 12th, 1937 in New York City, New York Hospital, actually. Was the youngest of two boys, but his father was a heavy drinker, and when he was 2 months old, his mother took him and his brother and left down the fire escape. He would later say he still was able to inherit his love of public speaking from his father, whom he never knew, as well as his love of language from his maternal grandfather, who he also never knew, making the claims that genetics are more important than we think. Got into trouble and got kicked out of some schools growing up, was always a bit of a class clown type. Ended up joining the Air Force, and that's where he got his first taste of sort of entertainment beyond the summer camp drama classes that he would take. Was a radio DJ when he was stationed in Shreveport and Bossier City, Louisiana, but faced about 3 different court martials throughout his stint. He ended up starting his own comedy career, but in the beginning, he was doing more characters and voices and faces. That was more the style of the time. You know, you dress in the suit, you do a lot of goofy things and just make people laugh. Eventually, he would join a comedy team with Jack Burns, and they would tour all over the country. Comedy teams were a bit more common of a method of working back in those days. And Jack Burns, of course, would later on go on to greater fame in another comedy team with Avery Schreiber, who had his own legendary career, but he's more known to people in my generation as Senor Noggles from the Taco Place commercials. Met Brenda Cosbrook at a diner in Dayton, Ohio, and they were married within about a year, and they had their daughter Kelly within a couple of years. As fast as that was, they did remain married until her death in 1997. Kelly Carlin would be their only child. She is now a podcaster and radio host. But wedded bliss was not always blissful. Of course, they did have a lot of drama with drug and alcohol problems and health problems as well. She battled cancer twice, and Carlin himself had several heart attacks throughout his life from about age 40 onward. But during the 60s, when things were going counterculture, he was no different. Started slowly being less goofy, although he still had the goofy act outs. He started talking about more real topics, political, social, and otherwise. This is when the famous routine of 7 words you can't say on television became a reality. Those 7 words initially being shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Although I never got why motherfucker and fuck were different. He probably should have put asshole in there. He would later add fart, turd, and twat. But was heavily into drugs into the 1970s. But that is also when he started his HBO specials. He would eventually have 14 of them. And after a couple of heart attacks in 78 and 81, he did slow down that lifestyle and was actually featured in several movies. One of his great desires was to be taken seriously as an actor. He didn't really achieve that as much, but he played some iconic roles, of course, as Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That was the first time I remember seeing George Carlin. It wasn't for a few more years till my parents got cable that I saw Jammin' in New York, many say his best HBO special. He also starred in his own television show, The George Carlin Show, where his showrunner was Sam Simon of Simpsons and Taxi fame. Didn't get along that great with Sam Simon, but it was good that they never came to blows, because I used to spar with Sam Simon. He was a boxing man too, and that guy had a mean left hook. But Carlin actually played a priest in Dogma, which was funny if you know that he was very anti-religion. Of course, the famous 10 Commandments bit actually shut down that topic for comedians for a lot of years. But his final HBO special was taped shortly before his death in 2008 due to heart failure. As I said, he had been widowed in 97, remarried to Sally Wade, which he later claimed was love at first sight, but he was hesitant to act on it, having been widowed so recently. Never actually got to meet him or work with him, but to this day, one of the GOATs.